What is up, everybody? Happy Friday. I'm here with BobbyFi, my man in Sheets. I want to quickly, before I'm going to say it's a happy Friday, we're going to put the rest of this week behind us. I haven't had a day where I haven't had one of my highest owned players just be injured or have something terrible happen. So I'm ready to move on and just have a slate that runs our way. This is our kind of slate. Sheets, what are your first thoughts about this one?
First of all, I would like to, I'm not going to whine on your behalf, but I am going to just say this, that I want to give props out to Mr. Bobby. I don't know how he did on any other individual contest. All I know, I happen to, whenever there's a slate, I always pull up the DK, the big one, and just see how Bobby's doing in it. And I saw that he ended up cashing in the big one with a big fat zero out of Michael Porter Jr. Which is, on the one hand, it's kind of cool when you can cash with a guy with a zero. Yeah, on the other hand, it's like, I guess it's extra tilting also. So what it is, it's 2 days in a row of guys named Porter getting zeros for us.
Porter, and then I decided to run it back with Brogdon and Giannis the other night, but just like everything has just been going the other direction. I lose a golfer in my main lineup, I'm like right away before he scratches the late scratch. Like, I mean, it's time to turn it around the luck. We're gonna do it today.
Sounds good to me.
Let's get it.
All right. So we have to lock. So we have to lock in Otto Porter Jr. today. Because we want to get all the Porter Juniors to get us zeros like 3 days in a row. All right. That's enough. Fine. I'm ready. Okay.
Let's get into it.
So today is going to be an overall slate view. My initial take is it's going to take 400 points to win. And the reason why is there's just value coming out of the everywhere today. Not everywhere. Some kind of key spots. And then on top of that, you have some studs in here in really, really good spots that could put up some fantasy points. So it could be one of those days where if you score 350, 360 points, you're just nowhere. So we're gonna have to really we have to make some good decisions. We have to figure it out. But I've kind of put in kind of just this kind of slew of value even to start off with, and we'll get to this when we get to these games. But these are the kind of things that's going on today. You're getting like an Aaron Baines at 3K with 8 and out. You're getting Indiana with what's his name, with Brogdon out and maybe Oladipo out also. And then you have Fournier out for Orlando along with some other guys. So that's that. And there's probably value guys I didn't even think of yet. So we'll get there. But they don't give you any rest. They pull it right out of the gate with Atlanta at Washington, right? So Atlanta, Washington is the opposite of the first game on the slate yesterday. You had the two of the slowest teams in history, not in history, but in the league yesterday. You have two really exciting fantasy teams that play no defense playing against each other today. So let's see what I like here. It's going to come as no surprise. I think Trey Young is a tremendous play here. And I'm not even going to speculate for now what the ownership's going to be on some of these guys, because so much can change with the way this value shapes up. So we're going to start with just who the good plays are going to be. But Trey Young, I mean, what are you going to say? Playing Washington, close spread, 2 billion point total, only 9,900. I mean, tremendous play. Other guys from Atlanta, I think they're all in play also. Whenever you're playing Washington, and these guys all look pretty cheap, you know. Cam Reddish looks pretty good. Boy, Dwayne Dedman's back, 3,400. Oh my, that's another one to throw in this mix. I don't know if I'm going to go for 5,600 Herder. I don't think I need to. And there's Collins at 8,500, but I just think they're better 8,500 people today. But so that's for me on the Atlanta side. I didn't get down to DeAndre Hunter. I might play him from time to time, but I don't know. I think I have priorities elsewhere. On Washington, then you have, you know, the alter ego. I mean, you have Trey going against Washington. Well, you have Beal going against Atlanta. So 10-4. It doesn't really matter what the price is, and it happens to be very reasonable in this matchup. So looks good to me. And if you want to play other guys from Washington, they're marginal plays if you want to know the truth. But there's Bertans, Rui, Shabazz again is okay. I did well with Troy Brown Jr. the other day, but I don't think I'm going to go there today. I like to play Troy Brown Jr. when I think there might be some blowout risk involved also, because he can sometimes get there in both. But so I'm not going to model for that in this particular type of game. So for me, Beal, Trey, you'll see when you get through the slate, you'll be able to get like multiple guys like this in. So I'm gonna try to get some lineups with both these guys in it.
Yeah, so one of the things that's going to be difficult as we go game by game is just to remember that there's such good value elsewhere that maybe we don't need to take shots on. Because that's the thing, like Troy Brown in this matchup, if this was a 4-game slate like yesterday, I would be happy to take a shot. It just absolutely makes sense. But so again, like I always try to remind everybody, we have to treat this as a ceiling environment for everybody playing. So
why don't you spend like another 30 seconds on that? What do you mean by that?
So when you have the matchup that is literally going to produce the highest level of results because you're getting another team when a team like Atlanta or Washington gets an upgrade, these are two of the fastest teams, like you said, in the NBA. So what you want to try and do is you treat everybody's salary basically, throw out 700, let's say. I mean, it depends on the slate, depends on the type of matchup. But in this matchup, I would say like everybody is 700. Take 700 off their price. So Trey Young is 9,200 if this was a normal matchup. Even though he wouldn't really be priced that way. That's the way I'm looking at him. I'm looking at him as a steal at 9,900. I don't know exactly how to put it into words exactly, but you're playing in the absolute ceiling type of environment. It's the nuts for potential fantasy points. So you should treat everybody with a little bit of. The way I look at it is, if I'm mass multi-entering, I try to get exposure to everyone who's going to have a chance to shoot themselves into the game, because there's like 6 teams in the NBA that you really can target like this, and these are 2 of them. And what's better about it is they also are the worst, defensively of all of them, although Washington has been playing a little bit better lately defensively. So basically what I'm saying by pointing that out is that everyone, like, even if Collins was 9K, it wouldn't be expensive enough for his upside. You're not playing these guys to try and get their middling score. You're trying to get their ceiling score. This is a ceiling type of environment. So I would bet a large sum of money that somebody at a very high price, even whether it be Collins, Trey Young, or even Herter, somewhere around 6 to 7x their salary. Now it'd be harder for Trey Young to get 70, but it's doable. And that's just sort of what I mean. I don't know if that's the right way to put it into words. I think there's probably a better.
Bobby, I wish I could impress upon everybody how important it is what you just said. Where I was getting at is very similar. Is that when you're playing GPPs, in addition to what Bobby just said, you're not, with some exceptions, you're not trying to get a guy's median. Okay, you're trying to get the guy's ceiling. Now, again, with lineup construction, if you have a couple of guys who are already off the board with, trying for high ceilings, yeah, you could try to find guys with good medians or whatever. But you have to treat GPPs as really trying to find those ceilings. And on top of that, what Bobby just mentioned is that when you have a quote unquote ceiling environment, when you have just such possibilities for big upside across the board, I'm not saying that you should ignore price, okay, but you should really not be as stingy. Let's put it that way. When it comes with boy, I don't know if I could play Beal at 10-4. If he were 10-1, maybe I would take. You know what I mean? In these types of games, you just can't think that way.
Right. And the people will look at, taking Beal, for example, you'll look at his price and people will say, well, what they would do is if he was 9,900, he would be like the lock of the century for people. He's only 500 more. It doesn't really make a difference in the outcome. When you're at 500 at that level, doesn't mean that much.
Yeah.
500 at 3,500 to 4K, that could mean something. But 500 at 9.9 versus 10.4, which I promise you, if Bradley Beal was 9,900 tonight, he would be 1,000,000% owned. I don't think he's going to be as much because of the price, but he'll still be owned. Anyway, I'm going to jump real quick into my favorite plays over here because I do think Dedmon has significant upside, even if he doesn't play a ton of minutes. And Atlanta at times will give him the minutes. He's an Atlanta guy. Like, he's been around this team. I think this is his 3rd trip back with Atlanta. And they've played him pretty much from the beginning this year. He's a very underrated actual real-life basketball player. He's always on bad teams, but I like Dwayne Dedmon, and I think that at 3,400, he's certainly one of the appealing value plays on the slate if we get the news that he's officially starting, and we really think he's going to play those 20-plus minutes. He's definitely an interesting piece of value, but the priority is clearly Trey Young. I love Trey tonight. He's one of the top overall plays on the slate. You can afford some – excuse me. I hope I don't have corona. I think Trey Young, I think John Collins is still very much in play at 8,500. And he's another one. If he was 8K, people would be all over him. I'm not sure they're going to get there at 8,500 because his projections don't quite stand out. But again, you're playing him for his 60-point ceiling. You're not playing him, or 70-point ceiling, actually. You're not playing him for his, his 45. Although 45 would not even kill you. So anyway, going down the list, Trey Young, followed by Collins and Dedmon. I have in the same 20%-ish tier. I don't know if I'm going to stick with this because we're going to get through a lot of games. And then I've got Herter, DeAndre Hunter in the 15% range. And then maybe guys who I would consider deaning would be Jeff Teague and Cam Reddish. Just because, again, ceiling type of environment, a lot of ways this game could play out. What happens that people don't realize about basketball, too, is that something could happen. You could be down. There'd be a 15-0 run or something, and somebody has to take a break. They sit. Let's say they sit Reddish because he's not playing defense or he doesn't get back. Happens especially with young teams. All of a sudden, Jeff Teague might get 26 minutes. You know what I mean? You just don't really know with some of these teams how the minutes are going to exactly shake out because it's such a fluid game. And on the other side, I have a ton of interest in Bradley Beal. I don't mind just that simple trade, Brett Beal, run it back. But I love Rui tonight. I think Rui is way too cheap. I think that he is a guy who, if we want to get that middle value, everybody's going to be stars and scrubsing it. I think he'll be overlooked. And I just feel like he's a lock, not a lock, but close to a lock for 25 to 30 plus. I mean, ceiling type of environment, as we mentioned. If you look at his non-back-to-back numbers recently, he's been averaging over 30. I feel very much about Hachimura like I did about, I said PJ Washington or Miles Bridges yesterday. That's basically what I did was I split them down the middle. And you couldn't win. PJ Washington was on every winning lineup yesterday. And he was unowned completely. Those are the guys. These are not the guys who are going to win you the tournament by getting you 50 necessarily, although they've got upside. But they can get that 6, 7X, and they're pretty safe for that 5 to 7X. So I like Hachimura as part of the game stack. I also like Bertans. He can shoot himself into a big game here. You couldn't ask for a better matchup at 5.6. Again, it's a little bit, maybe we don't need him on this slate, but I definitely want to take some shots there. Same thing with Jerome Robinson and Troy Brown, but I think I'm probably going to fade away from those guys because there's just better value later in the slate. And then, look, Napier let us down the other night a little bit. I'm willing to go back to the well again for him. I still think the minutes are going to be there. And, again, we have a premium matchup. The other game was a little bit of a blowout, too. So let's play a little bit of Napier again and give it a shot, I think.
Yeah, I mean, look, what you're saying is not going to be a secret with respect to this game in general.
Of course.
You know what I mean? It's a 250-point total, and you know exactly where. And to start with Beal and or Trey Young is going to be pretty obvious. But that doesn't
Rui's
mean
always
that.
under-owned.
What's that?
Rui's always under-owned, and I'm telling you, if you want to
that's what I'm
safe with. Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Is that just because it's so obvious to go with Trey and the other one and Beal doesn't mean that you can't also. Remember, it's 250 total points. It's not like these guys are going to combine for all the points.
Yeah,
it's a good environment for everybody.
Yep. All right, let's move on.
Okay, so oh my God. So
yep.
After that, you got to go, I was going to go San Antonio or Brooklyn. Okay, Oklahoma City, New York's even worse.
Whatever you want, yeah.
So now it's so funny. Like I look at this and for like some normal slate or whatever, and I wouldn't mind having some exposure here to some of these guys. But the problem is that there's so many better plays that I don't think I'm going to do it. The one guy I would say that I think stands out as just the best value on this, at least on the Oklahoma City side, is going to be a guy I just don't like to play all that often, but Danilo's only 6,100, and he can be a guy to hold your lineup together, and I would certainly include him in my player pool. And if you end up with one of those kind of middling builds like we talked about, I don't know, maybe he fits in that kind of group of players.
Mm-hmm.
So I really don't mind him too much. The other standard guys in Oklahoma City, they look fine, I guess. Shea, Steven Adams, Paul, Schroeder. But I think Danilo would be kind of clearly my favorite. And now on the Knicks side, I mean, again, I would say Randall if I had to. And I'm just not too particularly into playing them tonight. You know what I mean? I just think there's too many better things to do.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I just want to point out that Randall has been just destroying everybody. It might be, I mean, not necessarily destroying, but look, if he gets you 40, you're probably okay. And he's been between 40 and 50 every game, basically, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm not going to shrug him off. But like you said, I think you put it well. This is on a different slate, sure. The guy I do think Gallinari is in play for tournaments. I really like him, actually. I just feel like really safe with that. It's a good matchup for him. He played in New York too. You got a nice little. It just feels like a nice little 5 to 7x range that he's going to end up in almost all the time here. And I think he's a solid play. I don't know where I'm going to stand with him by the end of the slate, but I'll have, as of right now, I'll definitely want some exposure. Julius Randle is the only guy on the Knicks I'm even considering, and even that is not too high. But if I ended up with 7,600 for a spot, I certainly wouldn't feel bad about it.
Yep.
All right, let's move on.
Okay. So San Antonio, Brooklyn. I don't know why everybody just kind of fell asleep. I guess maybe because it's such a big slate, they just forgot. But they decided that in light of his recent performance, they were going to drop Karis LeVert's price to 7,000. So I don't know what he did to deserve that, but I will say this: God forbid he gets ignored somehow in whatever else is going on in this slate. He's a freaking lock, right? I mean, he's I don't know. He's scoring 1 million points a game. He's clearly the top option, at least at this point. And he's only 7K against a team that's really not that good on defense. Before you go and say, maybe it's the wrong slate for it, I don't know. Maybe it's the perfect slate for it. I don't know. So
for LeVert?
Yeah.
No. What are you talking about?
Oh, okay. I don't know. Again, I didn't look at ownership or anything.
Once the guy shows you the ceiling, and I've always known this about LeVert, but when you start getting those, 62 or more in 2 out of the last 5 games, I'm playing for ceilings. And then, he also has another 50 back there and a bunch of 38s and 40s. I just feel really good about him. So I'm with you on LeVert.
Okay. And then the other guys on the Nets, I'll go right, continue to lose money on Jared Allen, I guess, until I'm bankrupt. I guess I'll keep trying it. He's down to 4,800. I'll try him. And one of these days, Spencer Dinwiddie's going to troll everybody and put up a huge game, but it's not going to be tonight with my money on it. How about that? Actually, he wouldn't be trolling me if it was with my money on it. So I'm going to let him get me tonight if he decides to make this tonight. And that's pretty much it. You can try to talk me into Torian Prince a little bit as usual, but I didn't come up with him on my own. On San Antonio, man, you still got to play DeRozan. I mean, he's 7,200, and LMA is still out, and they still haven't adjusted his price, so he still looks really good. And then you could play Trey Lyles if you want. He's still only 5,100 playing, carload of minutes. I don't think I'm going to play Rudy Gay or DeJounte Murray, but even on this kind of slate, I think that both those guys are still really in play, and I think DeRozan is still just way too cheap.
Yeah, I mean, we'll know before lock, but I am curious to see what the starting lineup is going to be for the Spurs. I'm just going to point out that this is people don't think of the Nets this way as much as they should, but this is a team that plays big. Pop has been adjusting all of his matchups. Now, it doesn't make a guy like Eubanks, especially after he killed me the other night, but it doesn't make him as interesting to me on this slate. I just think that that's what they're going to end up doing. Might take away some of the minutes from Gay and Lyles even, unless they decide to play Lyles in that spot, which I wouldn't recommend that they do, but it's fine. Maybe they will. They usually like to use him as the 4, not the 5, unless it's a really small team. But I think it makes the other fringy guys a little bit less interesting. I like DeRozan. I think what something really important to look out for today is DeRozan, which I think he will get. I think he'll get ownership more than LeVert. If he does for some reason, while I am very high on DeRozan today, I just think that's foolish. I understand that everybody's gone, but we've gotten a little sample from it, and he hasn't done much. Now, I think he will have a good game tonight. I like both of them. But I would give the edge to LeVert, especially if the ownership goes to DeRozan. There's some volatility in LeVert's game, but, I mean, I don't know. I'm way high on LeVert tonight and very high on DeRozan as well, but just a little higher on LeVert. I also think that, what's weird is the price is probably going to get Jared Allen just a little bit of love, not a bunch, but it's really no different than if he was 5.2. You know what I mean? When he smashes and he gets the 40, in either one, he'll be great at 4,800 or 5,200. It's not going to matter much.
Well, but the only problem is I actually don't think Jared Allen is going to get a shred of ownership tonight just because there's and we'll get to it, such a really strong play at the top, near the top, and such a lock at the bottom that it's going to be tough to play him. So I think that if you do want to play him as a pivot off the sub, the guys we'll get to, I think you'll get him at low ownership actually.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just going to play a tiny bit of him. I'm playing, like, you have monster ceiling 10x possibility. Good matchup, really good matchup. I'm going to play a little bit of him, but mostly it's going to be the obvious Levert. I do think that it's worth, like, considering Dinwiddie here. And I'm curious how much ownership he actually ends up with. I know he's had a couple down games in a row, but he had a couple big games right before that. Again, basketball is fluid. He can get hot at any time. And again, I like this matchup. I like targeting against the Spurs this year. So Levert, I'll probably have around 15%. I'm sorry, not Levert, Dinwiddie. And I'm much higher on Levert and DeRozan. I really like both those guys.
Yeah, I think guys like Dinwiddie could end up being just really, really low owned tonight.
Yeah, and it's weird because, like, this is the spot where literally a week ago, the exact same situation, even on a big slate, Dinwiddie would have been 30% owned.
Well, that's the thing. The difference is, as like you said, a lot of people are going to go that stars and scrubs build. So I think all these 7K guys are going to be a little lower owned than they could be.
That's true. I think that's a fair point.
So, all right. Anybody else? Do you like Torian Prince or not today?
I'm fine with him. I probably have some exposure, but I'm not liking the way that they're using him lately, especially with Timothy Luwawu-Cabarrot. He's been getting more minutes. Wilson Chandler's been playing. Even with Temple out, I thought it was going to boost Prince into that 34-minute range. I like Torian Prince. I genuinely don't understand. I think he's a part of their future. I don't know why he doesn't get more run than he does. Same thing with Jared Allen, but I guess that's the DeAndre Jordan argument. So that's that answer. But I would be willing to go back and take another shot on Prince, but I'm not going to be high on it. It's mostly going to be a DeRozan, Levert, somewhat some Dinwiddie for me.
Okay, so the next game is it the Indiana game yet? No, it's the Orlando game. So Orlando against Minnesota. This is another one we have to go through. So it's a 234-point total with how's 20 on. Just give me 1 second.
Take it.
It's a 234-point total with a really, with the close spread with injury news that's going to impact some stuff. So let's talk about this. So first of all, on the Orlando side, first of all, as I mentioned just before, Vooch is rating to be a really, really strong play at 8,900. And as I kind of alluded to, you could get in pretty much whoever you want, whatever. So Vooch looks really good. But with Fournier out, there's all kinds of stuff that's popping. So the guys that you see pop a lot are going to be Fultz and Ross. They're going to be fine. But you're going to get both DJ Augustine and Marco Carter-Williams at near minimum cost or actual minimum cost on DraftKings at 3K and 3,300, which certainly are in play. So that you can add both these guys to the value that's coming. So that's the first thing I would say is from the Orlando side. I would pick one of those two, maybe DJ Augustine or Michael Carter-Williams, and Vooch looks like an incredibly strong play if you want to spend the 8,900 center. On Minnesota, not too particularly enamored with anybody. I mean, Russell's fine, another 8,800 guy. I guess he's all right. Beasley, volatile, but he's been really good, so good volatility recently. So I like him. I like Russell a little bit. I like Beasley a little bit. I'm not going to go down to any of the other guys on Minnesota, but I think that Orlando value you have to kind of figure out.
Yeah, I don't know how much of the value I'm interested in Orlando.
Oh, okay.
I'm okay. I'm open to it. The minutes can be split so easily between these guys. They've got a lot of bodies they can use. I think Terrence Ross is the guy I get the most interest in because of it. And again, I just give the extra boost to Vooch. Vooch is going to crush tonight. Like, he's one of the best plays in the slate. He's going to be popular.
Yep.
But he's gonna go nuts, in my opinion. Anytime anybody's out, that's just what I like to do with Orlando is just try and treat it as a Vooch thing. You can see he's had 50 or more 3 of the last 4 games. This matchup is perfect. So I'm very high on Vooch. I don't want to play Aaron Gordon at this price. It's a little just seems like why. But he has been good. I mean, I think it's just Vooch and Fultz for me are the main guys.
Well, let me play devil's advocate for a second. Let's really talk about this for just a second. So why is Vooch such a great play tonight exactly?
Well, first of all, he's absolutely on a tear. because
Okay.
they're on their playoff run. They're realizing, hey, maybe we should give the ball to our best player.
Okay.
And they're playing a lot faster in general. The matchup is as good as it gets. The price is fine. Look, we've had Vooch lower, but this is a fine price for this matchup. You lose Fournier's usage. I I have Vooch projected. I have 2 different sites. I've got them projected well over 50 on both of them. I think he's a really strong play here. The centers have just been dismantling this team. So
yeah, I'm gonna revisit this. I'm gonna he looks good. I just don't know if he ends up being that chalky. I'm gonna necessarily have to try it. How about that?
yeah, no, you don't have to do it for sure. It's just he's a good play, and I don't know if it's going to be hard to know what kind of chalk he is by the end of the slate because we already mentioned some really good plays that are high priced.
Yep.
And on the other side of this game, I get the Russell thing. I'm a little surprised at the projections being quite where they are. I'm not going to touch D'Angelo Russell. I don't think he might end up in a lineup or something, but it's not going to be on purpose. I would prefer to take shots with Juancho, with Beasley. But I'm honestly not all as excited as I'd like to be on this Minnesota side. Even though Orlando's playing worse defense, they're playing a little bit faster. Naz Reid is certainly in play, but I don't know if I really want to go there. I just feel sort of blah. And I think it mostly would just be Beasley and Juancho for me, and Beasley would probably be the priority.
You're not into the DJ Augustine, huh?
He's fine. You got him do we need that 6x at 3K? I don't really see that as being like a tournament winning type of move.
No, I was kind of into him getting 40, so that's fine.
How does he get 40 though? Like he always going to play.
I don't know. He's done it before, hasn't he? I don't know.
He started maybe, but even that I don't know if he did actually. He might have. I think Fultz you're better off taking a shot with Fultz, but sure. MCW and Augustine are fine. There will be ownership on them. I'm going to be lower than the field on them. I'm pretty sure about it. If one of them is starting, it might be a different story, by the way. But I actually think Ennis might be the other guy, who ends up getting a bump. I'm just not going to play him at his price. If he was 3.2, I would probably take a shot on him.
Yeah, I keep forgetting about Ennis.
Yeah, they have bodies, man. It's not like they have no bodies.
Yeah. All right, so let's go on. Utah and Boston. Yuck. I don't know. Utah. Mitchell. Conley, Gobert. Bojan's been playing better, but yeah, I play either of those 3. If I like someone from the Celtics, this could be again. If I play a bunch of lineups, I could get some Utah Boston in with 2 of those 3 guys between Mitchell, Conley, and Gobert. I could try that. On Boston, they finally did it, didn't they? They made Tatum 10K.
Yep.
As they say in my part of the world, Mazel Tov. He's finally joined the ranks of the 10K player, and as you said, he's kind of earned it, right? So, first of all, I am presuming again that Hayward and Brown are out, at least for the purposes of this, and this is probably I don't know where ownership's going to come in because of the 10K price tag, but if somehow Tatum doesn't get owned too much. Yeah, why not? I'll try it. I can afford it. I'll play him. And then there's Smart and hey, and we were right. It's not like he got 0 fantasy points, but I'm telling you, this Wanamaker stinks. Okay, he is just a low usage guy that they hide, and sometimes they don't even play. If he somehow becomes popular again, I'm going to fade him again. So Tatum would be my favorite play, even though 10K seems a little. It's just not used to seeing him at 10K, but he's earned it, and that's what it is. So Tatum on that side, and Utah, again, nothing particularly exciting, but Mitchell, Conley, Gobert, those guys.
Yeah, I think that this is. Look, everybody's got the Utah fear, so there's not going to be any ownership on any Celtic. The one that will have some would be Smart. I have interest in him. I have interest in Tatum. It's going to be prioritizing, and I think I'm going to lean with the other guys who are 10K. But certainly not going to leave him out of mass entering. I don't really like anything on the Utah side except for Clarkson and Gobert, and I think that it would just be a little bit of each. But I think
I was going to say you like Clarkson.
I'm sorry, not Clarkson. I meant Gobert and Conley.
I just noticed that Clarkson has moved down to 4,400.
He's reasonable. I just don't know if I'm going to go. He's the kind of guy though who can win you big slates, so maybe you get a little exposure to him. But I'm not finding myself all that interested on this particular slate. I think there's other value I'd rather speculate on. Although he's going to get minutes, he can shoot himself into it. He fits the criteria for a tournament play. I do like Gobert though, man. I think Gobert is still a good matchup. He's actually projected really well. It's just he's going to be overlooked because of Price and other guys and the stars and scrubs effect, which is sort of going to keep everybody in this game off the radar. I'm going to just throw this out there. So I am going to have at least 10% Enes Kanter tonight.
Ooh.
I don't know. I mean, first of all, he put up 27 the other night in 14 minutes for me. I was a little disappointed in the run he got, but I was happy with the result. He was 3,500. He put up 27. He's played against these guys. Obviously, he was a Jazz guy. He has played against Gobert, from when he was whatever. They were the up and coming guys trying to figure out how to play them both together, how it was going to work. It was him and Favors, then him and Gobert. I give him a little bit of a boost for that, just because also with size, you could end up Tice as a guy who can get handsy, he can get in foul trouble at times. I think they're going to want one of these bigs on the court at almost all the time tonight. They could use Grant Williams, but I don't see that working against Gobert or Bradley. So I think you're going to see more minutes out of Tice and Kanter combined. We haven't projected for combined 38 minutes. I think you're going to be looking at more combined like 44 to 48 minutes. So just because of that, I want to give Kanter a shot. And look, it's probably the wrong slate, all the things. I'm still going to take a shot on my one and, my potential 10X guy there. He's played extremely well against Utah in the past when they've actually let him play. And that's it. I'm going to take some shots on Kanter. But look, this is not an exciting game compared to a lot of the rest of them. So I'm mostly just looking for tiny little pieces here. It's a little smart, a little Tatum. I just want to point out, it is odd that no one's going to play any of these Celtics who everyone was playing the other night. And again, I don't look at Utah as being this daunting matchup at all. So maybe we should revisit this depending on lineup builds and consider this later, because it is weird that all these guys who were like 50% owned are now going to be unowned, and the matchup I don't consider to be bad.
Yeah. But is this? I guess it is the same situation, right? There's Tatum in.
Minutes.
Kemba presumed out again?
No, Kemba played.
He played 20-something minutes, though, right?
Yeah, he was out against Cleveland.
Right.
But I think he'll play 24, 26 minutes. I don't know, somewhere in that range.
Okay.
I don't know, just worth considering. It's just, I'm not like in love with it. I'm just pointing it out.
Okay. All right. Indiana against Chicago. Boy, I'm gonna get your approval for a play in this game that I probably wouldn't otherwise play. So we'll see. So Indiana, you have Brogdon out, and I presume, and Oladipo questionable. So the value that opens up immediately. First of all, the kind of just the usage value is Miles Turner at 5,200 is pretty freaking incredible, actually. He's a tremendous play. Even Sabonis, 8,700, not the greatest play, but he looks solid. TJ Warren looks fine, but the real value that pops up is going to be what happens with those point guard minutes. So the two guys that you're going to hear probably a lot, bandied about quite a bit is going to be Aaron Holiday and TJ McConnell. And I think it's possible that, we don't know who starts until right up around game time between those two guys. I'm not sure. I guess I need your opinion on what I guess you just have to play the starter, I suppose. But where I'm kind of getting at is this. Obviously, if Oladipo doesn't play, then those two guys become even more valuable, and they're going to be kind of tough to at least one of them's going to be tough to fade. But can I ask you a question? If Brogdon's out, if Oladipo plays, I'm looking at his projection, and their place I'm looking at projecting him just terribly, like 28 minutes and like 25 points or something. Am I hallucinating? But like if Oladipo is actually going to start at point guard or something like that, don't I want him?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
I think it's like, my feelings about this. You don't get that many opportunities for guys who can put up like 60, 70 fantasy points at these prices. And okay. I would be on board. I'm a little concerned about the minutes and the injury. Now, if he's out also, it becomes a whole different ballgame. Right. Ben McConnell and Holiday are both in play. I'm struggling with the McConnell thing because I think the projections are basing a lot on things that we really can't rely on. Like McConnell didn't start the last one. Holiday did. McConnell came off the bench. They got absolutely shellacked by Milwaukee. So Connell got all this. He played 30 minutes. Why the projections are going to count him for 30 minutes and Holiday for 24, I don't know.
I have it the opposite. I think it's going to be one or the other though.
It's possible. Yeah, I think that's the likely outcome is that it's one or the other. If they're both out, I mean, I like Holiday better as a player, a lot better, obviously. But I also do think that if McConnell is going to get the minutes, he'll be fine. So I'm in between those guys right now. I have them both. I have interest in both. But again, see who's starting, find out the Oladipo information. Definitely want to take some shots with Oladipo. But I really like Sabonis tonight. This is a matchup. It's just I don't know if we're going to be able to get to him because of the other big guys we like. But you can't ask for, like, this team doesn't guard bigs. They don't rebound well. This is a spot where I could see Sabonis putting up a big number, being in that 50-plus range. So he's definitely high on my list. The Turner thing is weird to me because I like Turner tonight too, but the projections are always strange with him. Like, nobody ever plays him, and yet every first projection has him having, like, in the teens of ownership usually. It's just weird to me. I'm not sure. I like the matchup. I like, again, same arguments with Sabonis. They don't rebound well. They don't guard well. But it just doesn't – I'm not, like, excited about it. And I'm not overly excited about T.J. Warren, who also rates to be a fine play. Sure, I'm willing to take some shots there. But, like, I'm just not finding out if I build that these guys are going to be in a lot of them.
So on Chicago, I mean – again, I'm looking at early projections, whatever it is, and I don't know about the ownership, but I will tell you this. I mean, the other day I played Shaq Harrison just as kind of a pivot off of Denzel Valentine. I really didn't think he was going to do much, but just in case. And he lucked into whatever points he had, like 26, 27 points or whatever he had, which was good for me. But, I mean, now they're trying to project him a little bit. If he actually gets ownership, I could have zero of him. I really don't need him at all. But if you're going to play Chicago, I mean, I guess Kobe White. I mean, yes, he's the guy to play.
Yep.
I don't have much interest in anybody else, though.
I guess Kobe White is the answer. Like, if you want to take a shot on anybody here, but probably even this doesn't. Like, he's always a guy who can win you a slate, but, like, this is not like a good match. Nothing screams like, except for that he's been really good without. I mean, yeah, we probably should get some ownership of him. It's not quite the time to play Wendell Carter on DraftKings yet, but it's getting really close. And I think on FanDuel he's a phenomenal play today. We'll get into that.
Is he still like 4K?
4-1, yeah.
Yeah.
I think the minutes are going up. I think you're gonna get a 40 game out of him pretty soon. So even in a tough matchup, I'm just gonna keep playing the underpriced guy. Laurie is probably not gonna play enough to be in consideration even at 4,500. I mean, 4,500 is pretty cheap, though. I have to say, it's like to do a double take. But it is weird to me. I just want to point one thing out. Everybody still played Valentine tonight because he put up a good score. Like, but that was without Markkanen also coming back. It just didn't make any sense. Oh, and Porter getting a minutes upgrade.
Yep.
I don't understand what's the matter with people. Like, I really couldn't figure that out. Why were we playing Valentine? The first time it made perfect sense, and then the second time it made zero sense, and everybody did it. But
he did. People became, what do you call them? Slaves to the projections. He was just showing up on some different optimals, so people played him a lot.
No, I heard everybody talking about him, though. I mean, he was look, the other sites, I'm not going to name names, but he was considered by a lot of people. They were talking about him as the best cash game play, and they're like, "Oh yeah, he only played 21 minutes last night. It looked like he was even going to have a bigger game." I'm like, or the night before. I'm going, don't you think it's weird that he only played 21 minutes when he was hot and, like, keeping them in the game? Like, isn't that a warning sign, not a positive sign? People took that one completely the wrong way, and they misread it. Valentine can always do well, but should never be a guy you play at chalk in that situation. And again, I'm Harrison maybe if I need to find extra value, but mostly this game is not all that interesting from the Chicago side, and we're gonna have to wait to see about Oladipo from the Indiana side. But in the meantime, it's a little bit of McConnell, Turner, Warren, and then some heavier Sabonis, Holiday for me, and Oladipo.
I think it's good. I think if Oladipo plays, I'm gonna have a decent amount of him.
I love it, man. I love that kind of call. Like, that's no one's gonna play a guy who can win you a tournament, and it happens all the time in this industry. And then you go, oh look, he hasn't shown us ceiling all this time. Who cares? He's a good player. We know who he is overall. He's an 8K guy. Let's keep riding with it. He can still struggle and get you 35, by the way.
Yep. All right. So Miami, New Orleans is kind of straightforward for me. in that I like the good players. I like the top 2 players from both teams. So on New Orleans, I like Zion and Ingram, and I don't love either of them. You know what I mean? Like all these guys have been mentioned recently, like the Utah guys, like the good players there, and the Sabonis's, guys like that. I think they're all fine. Like I think Zion's fine. I think Ingram is fine. I think on the other side, I think Butler is fine and Bam is fine. I don't think I need to go to these other dudes. But again, like I said, those guys are good. And I think that if Butler, for example, I'm just throwing him out there, like gets overlooked, then he's certainly a tremendous ownership GPP type play. I don't think anybody can be overlooked playing against New Orleans with that type of total and low spread or whatever it is. So I doubt he's going to get ignored. But like, you take a guy like Bam, for example, like if Vooch becomes like really, really popular, and remember, we're going to get to the other center that you can play at cheap cost, and all the other centers start to become low owned. Take a guy like Bam in this matchup. I mean, he can win you a slate. So those two guys from Miami, and the New Orleans guys, Zion and Ingram would be my 2 guys.
Remember when people said Zion couldn't shoot?
Can't.
I'm going to take my victory lap now on Zion, okay?
He can't.
He can't?
No.
He made 14 threes the last 2 games. He's shooting 5 percentage points higher than James Harden is. Like, what do you want? I'm victory lapping this one because I had to deal with just over the last couple of years, it's just been a slew of how bad he is, how he can't shoot and all this stuff. And as I also predicted, and we talked about this at length, Zion Williamson will unlock Lonzo Ball. I kept saying.
Oh, wait. Who'd you say could shoot?
Lonzo.
Oh, you said. I think you might have misspoke. I thought you said Zion.
Oh, my bad. Lonzo.
Oh, no. Lonzo can shoot. I wouldn't say Lonzo can't shoot.
No, everybody said that forever, and now it's he's certainly making people look silly. And he's put up 50 or more in 3 games in a row. The matchup sucks. At no ownership, I might throw him into a lineup just because I think that he's really thriving right now. He's so aggressive. He's a very different player than he was. Hate the matchup. I'm not going to say prioritize this guy. You're talking about throwing in like 5% of them, but that's still going to be 5 times what the field has on him. So I'll take a shot there. The other guy I like sort of on the New Orleans side, this is again, it's probably the wrong slate with the other value that's out there. But if we're going to overvalue a guy, I would take a shot on Millie who can shoot himself into a game. They've sort of been giving him more minutes lately. I think that he's actually taking over a little bit of what the role that they wanted for Favors, although Favors played really well the other night from a rebounding perspective. I also like it, I don't know. Basically, I sort of have mild interest in anybody on New Orleans, but I don't think I'm going to realistically end up playing any of them. That's the truth. It just doesn't feel like the right slate for me. I love Jimmy Butler. I don't necessarily love what's happening to him because I think that all of a sudden it's like, is he the best player on this team? I mean, yeah, he is, but Bam is not far behind. And I have interest in both those guys. I don't know if I'm going to end up getting to them because of the way that those lineups are constructed today, but I definitely see them both having a big game, especially I like Bam tonight. It's tough, man. It's tough on this slate I think, even guys like Jae Crowder who would stand out to me here.
Yeah, you can give me some of that. You can give me 30 minutes of Jae Crowder against New Orleans at 4,800.
Because what we know about Jae Crowder is that he's the biggest streak shooter of all time. I mean, one thing I'll point out, he's taken 6 or more threes in 8 games in a row. He's taken 8 and 9 his last 2. He's averaging with the Heat, he's averaging 8 threes a game attempted. Now, this is the team that you can give up a lot of threes. He can easily shoot himself into not only the minutes are pretty secure at 30 minutes over there, but I mean he's actually a pretty strong play. And he's actually gonna be popular on FanDuel, I think, because the way that the builds go. We'll get into that in our FanDuel show. But over here, he might be worth taking that's an interesting flyer play. We've seen him put up these 40, 50, 60 fantasy point games this year even. And this might be the kind of matchup where he comes off the bench and gets just really hot. This other guy who fits that mold, unfortunately, doesn't do nearly as many other things. He literally just shoots, but he nearly shot us into a tournament victory the other night. So I would be willing to take another shot on Duncan Robinson, another guy who's averaging double-digit threes basically over the last 12 games. And anybody who's shooting that much and shooting 40+%, that means you're looking at a likely 15, or I guess it would be 17 fantasy points just from threes alone on average. Now, if he gets hot, there's going to be a lot more. And all he has to do is grab a couple rebounds, a couple assists, maybe one steal or one block. And the next thing you know, you're looking at 30 plus for 47. Probably, again, not the greatest slate in the world to do it. But I do like to try and target against these Pelicans because they play so fast. So I do want some of all these guys. But the main priorities would be Bam, Crowder, and Butler for me.
Hey, I want to show you something, by the way. I don't know if we ever talked about this, but before I forget, did you see this this stat line for Terrence Ross?
Yeah, he's been incredible, and that's been with all those guys.
No. He had 35 points and
38
zero anything else.
I know. I had a Bogdanovich game like that earlier this year. He had 35 points on FanDuel. I think he had 33 fantasy points and 35 real life points. Because he had two turnovers or something and nothing else.
Yeah, I used to make this joke about Darryl Strawberry when he played for the not for the A's, for the Mets, that he would be the first guy ever to have more home runs than RBIs in the same year. So, all right, let's.
That was Barry Bonds, by the way.
What's that?
That was Barry Bonds' whole thing because he never had anybody on base for him. So he'd have when he hit 70 home runs, I think he only had like 125, 130 RBIs.
Right.
Impossible.
Okay, so. That's the end of this game. So Memphis against Dallas. So we're back in Lukaville, right? So, well, I could say Lukaville, but it's becoming Chris Rockville. What?
Becoming rough business.
It's becoming Porzingisville.
I know.
You know what I mean? Like, and we talked about this every, and it's so funny. I guess I'm like an idiot. In the last like 7 slates, I said, you know what? He just keeps smashing. He just keeps smashing, and I keep on letting him smash for somebody other than me, you know. And just look at this dude. I mean, you kidding me? This is just incredible. So he's still projecting like crap, and I'm starting to. I just don't get it. So
we talked about it, man, at length. I mean.
Yeah.
It's this Porzingis when he's in like the best Porzingis, he is this team is like a legit, I mean, it's probably a year early to say title contender, but he's a game changer. I think they forgot how good he really is. Now, sure, you got the overtime minutes the last time. He still had 56 in regulation or 58.
Yeah. But you know, the Knicks did well because I think they got back. What did they get back? Dennis Smith Jr. and DeAndre Jordan, who they got rid of. That was a pretty strong move to get rid of those.
Oh, no, you forgot about Kevin Knox, the Kevin Knox draft pick.
You know, I keep forgetting. So Luka, I don't think Luka's rough business at all. I think Luka is just the easiest business that you can come up with.
Really, he's not going to be as popular tonight. I'm telling you right now.
How? I mean, you could insert him in with such ease.
We've been playing it. We've had people teetering on him at 10-3. Now he's 11-3.
Give me all of it.
I'm in, buddy.
So I'll take Luka, and just for fun, maybe I'll take Morant.
Yeah.
And maybe we'll have some fun. You know, if the Trey Beal thing doesn't work out, I'll always have a Morant Luka thing to try to pull me out of the doldrums. Also on the other side of the game, Valid shoot at 7,400 is intriguing because Dallas doesn't have anybody to guard him.
Right.
But then again, it's so hard to say because there's so few people can actually guard the center position in general. But Dallas particularly, I think Jonas can have a good game. Obviously, if he gets the minutes, which he should. But you know, you never know. And I don't think that Dylan Brooks is gonna be my guy today. I think I just need a shorter slate with less options. So I'm going to take a shot with Morant, and I will, you know, in full disclosure, Morant is certainly not projecting to be that great, but if I'm going to play Luka, I don't care. I mean, Morant's got upside coming out of all the different nooks and crannies that he can get them. So I'm going to play some Luka. I'm going to play some Morant. I'm going to play them both together. I'll put some Giannis in, not Giannis. Well, he's coming later. I'll put Jonas in my player pool and rock the house.
Yeah, I really like this game stack. I think that Luka and Porzingis, I've been saying it over and over again, even on these giant slates, you can play these guys together because they hit such ceilings. They have used so much of the offense goes through them. By the way, like Seth Curry came back and played in the last game. It wasn't like they were missing him also. You know what I mean? So yeah. I really like this, trying to target this. I want some Morant. I love I love playing Morant. You get an unknown guy he's just my kind of player, man. He's a tournament upside winning guy, but he has the down games partly because they've been blowing the hell out of people. They've just been blowing people out. But if you look at the games that have been close lately, he's been just really, really on fire. And you just got to hope this game stays close. I like that it's only a 6.5 spread. If you want to make a bet on this game, I'll tell you what the bet is. The bet is the over. I don't know where this total came from. To me, this feels like an easy bet, the over. Dallas's average is like 115 points a game. Why against Memphis, who plays lightning quick, would you be getting barely an upgrade? I just think it's going to hit the over easy, unless it's a blowout. And it's interesting to me that Dallas is only favored by 6.5. I just want to point that out. I'm just a little surprised. They've been pretty good at home. So
Memphis is not bad.
No, Memphis is. Oh no, they're solid, man. But they also, I mean, there's some days where they've gotten beaten down too. They're a streaky team, as young teams are. But so Ja Morant is the priority for me for Memphis. Probably want to have him like in a quarter of my lineups today. I really like him. I really want some exposure to Dylan Brooks. I'm gonna keep taking shots as long as he keeps shooting. I know he's struggling. I know he didn't play as much. I just think it's worth a flyer on a guy who could, because he was taking 20 shots a game. I mean, we're one game removed from that. Let's just go back to him and take a little bit. I don't want a ton of exposure, but a little bit. Same thing with Joe Val. I want a little bit more Joe Val than I do Brooks, but a little less than Morant. And I'm willing to take a shot on DeAnthony Melton, even though he hasn't done anything. But I don't know. Realistically, by the end of looking at it, I probably won't go there. I just wanted to throw him out as somebody I'm considering at least. And then on the Dallas side, again, yeah, it's Luka and Kristaps. I don't know how you play anybody else but those two guys, and I love both of them. I just can't get over this Kristaps thing. No one playing this guy who literally has just done nothing but crush. The only time he didn't crush was a game they won by about 40 points. Like, and the other game that they won by 30. Like, I mean, that's it for his game log. As far as the eye can see, if you pull up his whole game log, that's what happened. He's literally been averaging, like, what is he averaging? 60? I mean, come on, man. Let's just play Luka. I mean, let's just play Porzingis and Luka. I think Porzingis is even higher of a priority for me, though, than Luka.
There are going to be 3 games that I'm going to be attacking. So I'm going to at least maybe 3.5. So I'm going to be making kind of 3 completely distinct builds. And I'll end up, what I usually do is I'll probably do 3 spin moves, 1 in each of the big single entries, right? And then kind of deviate from there. Like the Atlanta Washington is going to be one of them. And the other one is going to be, second one is going to be Memphis Dallas. We just kind of went over. And the third one is going to be this next game, this Portland Phoenix game.
Can I make one, before we go there, I just want to say one quick thing about Kristaps. I would recommend, if you are playing him and you're not going to be using Luka in those lineups, or even if you are, if there's any way you could fit in, if you're going to play Trey Young and Luka, Kristaps and Luka, Kristaps and Trey Young, if you're going to play the two of them, I would try to put them in the same lineups together, because I don't necessarily think.
Wait, start over. Which guys are you talking about?
Kristaps and Trey Young. Because Kristaps, they're similar in price. They're
okay.
And Kristaps, Trey Young, then you've got Tatum as the other guy in that sort of, 70, whatever range. I would try to play that grouping together, because I don't necessarily think that Kristaps outscores Trey Young very often here, but I think that there's a good chance they both have a monster game. And I like to play guys in similar price ranges, even at different positions together. So just sort of throwing that out there as a potential way to.
Do you like Kristaps, Trey Young, as opposed to Kristaps, Bradley Beal?
I think that you would try, like, the ideal thing would be to try to get all 3 of them in, and there may be enough value to almost do it.
Right. Yeah, all you got to do is fade Luka and Giannis. Not a problem.
I think Trey Young, I think Bradley Beal, the only reason he would be a better play is because of the position. But I really think this is a supreme spot for Trey Young.
Okay. All right. Can I go on to the Portland?
Good.
All right. So Portland Phoenix is the other game. This is the third game that I'm definitely gonna attack here, and makes it a little easy because Oubre has been out, which has made some guys really strong plays, and DeAndre Ayton is going to be out for this game too. So what this does is it opens up a 3K center who's actually not bad. So whenever you have like these chalky centers, the first thing you have to think about is how you fade them. And the first way I try to fade them is to see if they don't that they're going to need a guy like this depending on their matchup. So if they're playing a team that's going to go small, maybe they don't necessarily need him. But unfortunately, you're playing Portland, so they're gonna need the size to battle with Whiteside. So I don't see a variation where where Aaron Baines can. I shouldn't say I don't see a variation, but I think Aaron Baines is a tremendous play at 3,000, as will the rest of the United States of America. The one thing I might consider doing is in all lineups that I don't have Baines to maybe play Check Diallo. Just in case Baines stinks or gets in a foul trouble or whatever reason, you know what I mean? Diallo gets more minutes. At 3,200, I would certainly take a shot with that. Now, the other thing is that considering that Oubre and Ayton are out, well, here comes all the usage. So, not that Booker needed it, but he's even going to get more usage. So he's going to look tremendous. Then you could even go play Michael Bridges if you want at 5,200. You can play Rubio if you want. I don't know if I'm going to – I guess I'm going to have to if I'm going to stack this game. Have to play some Saric also, right, at 4,900. So I think all these Phoenix guys look just awesome. And on the other side of this, I think, maybe you were one game early, but because of the minutes limit, obviously, but that's why you took the shot. But I think it's time. I think it's time that we can go, just run Lillard right back against all those guys.
There's no minutes limit on Lillard.
No, I know, but into his last game, remember?
Yeah, there was no minutes. The coach came out and said we have no minutes limit at all. He was going to play 40 minutes if they didn't.
Oh, I didn't even know that. I thought it was going to be a minutes.
No, he was. So, as we called it, but Lillard is not one of those guys who's going to have his minutes monitored. If he plays, he's going to play his minutes.
So if that's given that, I'm just running right back with all those guys, and it's kind of a classic DFS stack. You take value from one side with high scoring upside from the other side, and yeah, he's not going to look that great projection-wise at 9,700, whatever. And there are probably, Trey Young is probably a better play and at similar price, but I don't care. I'm going to take some. I'm going to get some exposure there. I don't think I'm going to get to Whiteside, but I certainly am not going to argue with it. Like if you want to run these Phoenix guys back with Whiteside instead of Lillard, that's another way you could do it. But I certainly prefer Lillard, and this is going to be one of my builds.
Yeah, I don't like the matchup for Whiteside either. I like Aaron. I feel like I say that every day with Whiteside. We have a complicated history, but I am very high on the Lillard. I love that call. People aren't going to play him because of Trey Young's price. Like another guy, I would say you play with Trey Young if you can, or maybe you play those two and Luka. I'm sorry, those two and Kristaps. I don't know. There's a lot of ways you're going to have to deal with lineup construction. We'll get into a little bit at the end of the show. And this is a long show, but guys, this is necessary. This is a really tough slate. There's a lot of guys who we have interest in. I love Lillard. I love that call. I don't even mind because I like Phoenix so much. I don't even mind if you want to throw Ariza into the game stack. Not just the narrative that he's going back to Phoenix because he's not exactly that kind of a guy, but he's been playing a boatload of minutes. You have a good pace matchup, and he's going to get open looks in this game. In addition to that, he doesn't need to get open looks. He's going to be able to get you there other ways. I don't feel like he's high risk, and I do feel like he's medium reward. But I think he's interesting as part of a game stack at 4,900. And the issue. So here's the other argument for Fate. It always feels nervous to me. A guy who missed the last game, a guy who's hasn't played more than 16 minutes in a couple months. It's always a little nerve wracking to me. But Aaron Baines is like a pro. He goes out there. They're going to need minutes from him. I agree. I could see foul trouble even being an issue, which makes me like him even more. You know what I say? Minimum cost guys, if you're worried about foul trouble, you're not in the right business. Yeah. And I like Chuck Diallo as a pivot, or Sheik Diallo, however I should say it. But the real focus for me is going to be just getting a ton of exposure to – so here's what I want to picture, Sheets. Like imagine if it's a week ago or 2 weeks ago, the same day Oubre and Ayton we get here are out. And we have all that information. Don't you think Booker and Rubio would be like 50 or 60% owned or somewhere in that crazy range, especially in a great, pace matchup?
You don't think Booker's going to be that way anyway?
He'll be popular. I think he'll be in the 30% range. I think Rubio is going to be like 10%. And there's a lot of usage to go around, and we've seen this guy just recently flash his ceiling. In fact, in 3 out of the last 4 games, 4 out of the last 5, 5 out of the last 6, actually, never mind, 6 out of the last 7, he's been 36 or more, 30, and only been below 40 twice. He had 48, 45, 62. I mean, this is a great matchup for him. I think he does end up overlooked a little bit. There are other players in his price range that people like, and also people are not going to be paying for that range mostly because of these stars and scrubs builds. So that's he's my next guy along with Saric. I feel a little skeptical about a chalky Saric here, but I still have interest in him, and I don't know where to stand on that one, to be honest with you. I probably am going to just be a chicken and be with the field because I've got so many other plays that I like, but well ahead of the field on Rubio. I'll be well ahead of the field on Booker, and I'll probably be just below the field or I'll probably be around 50% Aaron Baines. I think there are other routes to go that might emerge, but it's really hard not to like this game. I'm with you, and it's hard to like the Portland side of it, but I just think you just play Lillard and hope this game is one of those games.
So do you like because Rubio is going to be the lower end of all those guys I mentioned?
Yeah, I love Rubio. I actually think that you could make a case for Rubio over Booker being the better play. I think he actually is the better play, to be honest with you.
Yeah, so it's fair enough. So, as I like to say, if you don't like any of that, you can wait until you can root for all that great stuff to bust, and then you can get Giannis against LeBron and AD at 10:30 when no one else is watching. Well, I shouldn't say no one's watching. The whole world's going to be watching. But it's a tremendous, again, another tremendous basketball game. I mean, I'm looking at this, both teams with a 114 implied total. Pick'em game. I mean, this is, finals preview, say whatever, you know what I mean? Like this is a tremendous thing. And I'm going to be watching it. But, all right. I think Giannis is a great play, and I'm going to play him. I don't know how much or how many lineups or whatever, but I'm certainly going to play him. You give me Giannis in a matchup with a pick'em spread, you're going to have to make him just a lot more than 11-2 for me to not play him. How about that? I don't care who they're playing. I don't care if they're playing Bill Russell. I don't care if they're playing the 89 Pistons, whatever it is. Fine by me.
You got a couple extra advantages here with Giannis today too. First of all, Giannis is a narrative-driven guy. Like, and not that there's like a specific narrative. The narrative is just you're playing the best game. This is the national TV game against the best team, the finals preview. That's enough. He's going to go extremely hard. The last time when they played earlier in the season and both teams were on fire, Giannis just took it to him. Like, he made it. The game wasn't even close. He put up 64. It wasn't like his highest fantasy point total ever, but he dominated that game completely. And I don't see any reason why he's not going to do the same thing again, especially in LA where they're going to need him more. What is the spread on this game?
Pick 'em.
They get the Lakers as a 1-point favorite. So if the Lakers are a 1-point favorite in this game at home, maybe people should reevaluate who they're picking to win the title a little bit. Because if you think the Lakers fully healthy are a 1-point favorite only against Milwaukee at home, I agree, by the way, with it. Just interesting to look at it that way, because this is the kind of team that should. And by the way, this should be the matchup nightmare for Giannis.
Well, who's the favorite? Who's the future's favorite to win the championship? Is it in Milwaukee?
They're all about the same. The Lakers, Milwaukee, and the Clippers. I think the Clippers are going to just leapfrog everybody after the way they've looked. I mean, they are serious when they have had all this lineup that they have. They're 10-0, and no one except I think there's been one close game that they've played. That's it. They've been just lights out. It's interesting that Anthony Davis is showing up on more projection things than LeBron, and I get it, but I get it because he's a little cheaper. But that's really the only thing, and it's not enough cheaper to where it makes sense for me to want to play him too much. I think I would just avoid Davis, to be honest. I'm trying to find his numbers from the last time they met and struggling a little bit with it at the moment. There we go. Yeah, he had a big game too. He put up 65. Wow. They put up 25 shots. They played 43 minutes. Jesus, they really didn't pull him off the court at all in that game. I would still err with the playing LeBron in this one. He's MVP. This is MVP title hunting time. Again, there's too many other good plays to prioritize these guys too much. But Davis is I didn't realize he was 98. I had him at 10-3. That's really weird. Yeah, that makes sense then a little bit. Even though, again, it doesn't matter that much of playing for the ceiling. But that is pretty cheap. Like, it shouldn't be hard for him to get there. So I guess maybe I would have a little bit more interest in Davis. But mostly it's just LeBron, Davis, and Giannis is definitely the priority of those three.
Yeah, and I also think that again, if you're going to play some lineups, I just again, I don't know why I think this, but just I think you should probably have one or two with Giannis with Davis in it, or Giannis with LeBron, and just kind of hope for that. I don't see if seeing narrative stuff. It's a pick 'em game with like two out of three of the top 10 players in basketball all playing. You could argue even tighter spread than that. But and they could just start just showing off against one another and just going off back and forth. And God forbid you get an overtime game between these guys and you can get 85 points out of Giannis. And you know what I mean? Like, and let's just say it's just one of those days where LeBron is just, doing his thing. It's I would play a couple of lineups with 1v1 of Giannis versus AD or Giannis versus LeBron. And again, before I forget, Chris Middleton is only 6,800. So
I saw that, and I was thinking about it, but I just think it's not the right slate. I think I'd rather just play LeVert or Book. So you're comparing him versus LeVert, DeRozan, and I just don't think you can make that just even a guy like John Morant at 69. I would just rather play those guys upside personally.
That makes a lot of sense, actually.
Yeah.
All right. So for me, again, conceptually, it's like a lot of slates like this. It's going to be whether you prefer the 11K guys or a bigger chunk of the 8K guys, and you have the value that you can make either build work, like you could add the fourth or the fifth 8K guy if you want, you know what I mean? Or the fourth 8K guy if you want, or you could add the third, maybe even the third 11K guy if you want. I'm not sure, maybe that's a little bit asking for it, but or 10K guy if you want. So that's what these decisions is what's going to drive the winners of this slate. And I do think that I brought up guys like Danilo Gallinari, for example. Like, I don't think guys like that are just going to be enough, even if the rest of your lineup is doing well to get it done. I see when you have these cheap values in here, like the Baineses and these other guys we kind of mentioned, it makes it very point friendly. Let's put it that way. So I do think you're gonna need a lot of points to win this. So I do think you're gonna have to just double check and make sure you're only picking high upside guys.
Yeah, I agree, but to some extent, I still think there's going to be a few guys who, that little 6X can pay off in some spots here. But mostly, I'm in agreement.
Let's go back for just a second. Let me just. Now, I said this going into the slate that they have all these 3K guys that are just locks or whatever it is, and you're going to be able to get all these guys in. But can they really? In other words, so looking back, the guys I threw in this, not this lineup here, but I had all these Phoenix guys, these Indiana guys. Like, if Oladipo plays, is McConnell and Holiday like 100% necessary? Probably not, right?
No.
Right. And so if that's the case, then maybe they're not quite as many just easy value guys as I thought. You know what I mean? So maybe it's just –
well, they're not completely necessary, but it doesn't mean they don't offer upside at cheap prices. I mean –
Right.
But they're not the guys who offer – like, even Baines could – but you're not talking about guys who are possibly going to likely 10X. I think if you're going to make that case, you're probably making it for Holiday over the other one. I don't know where it's going to land, to be honest with you. I want to see who ends up starting. If Holiday does not start, I'm much less interested, but I still will have some. And same with McConnell. But we'll see. I mean, I'll go through real quick my ownerships because it's a little spread out, but it makes sense. I mean, we went through a bunch of really good plays. So I currently, and this will change, I'll firm it up, but I don't have anybody above 45%. My highest owned player would be Aaron Baines still, but I think I'm currently having below the field, even saying that, just because I'm trying to find ways to pivot off of what could be a fluctuating situation. Who knows for sure? I mean, where we're getting the 26 minutes from, I'm not entirely sure. I'm not sure if he was hurt or just what the deal is. I need to find a little bit more out about that. Overall, obviously makes sense. I have Trey Young as the second favorite play on the slate. Now, he's going to be so popular, I can definitely pivot to some of these other guys if I want to. I may do that. Then I have a tier where I have LeVert, Rubio, Booker, DeRozan. Just beneath them, I've got Kristaps, Damian Lillard, Vucevic, Bradley Beal, Rui. And then just beneath them, it's Luka, John Morant, Giannis, McConnell, Saric, Fultz, Sabonis, and Holiday. Again, there's a lot of things that we still need to hear information on. And then just to point out that I do still like him, just beneath him, I have the Jimmy Butler, Valanciunas, Oladipo little tier. So, yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at on this one.
Yeah, there are a lot of good plays, as you were mentioning. And don't be surprised, everybody, if you know, somebody smashes at like 3% and you say, oh, my God, how did I not have him? There are a lot of guys tonight. You know what I mean? You might not end up getting all the guys that are good plays, you know? So you do have to prioritize unless you're playing, you know, 500 liners, 150 liners. You might not end up getting some of these guys that are good plays. And if they do come in, you know, you might not have them. It's something you have to, you know, make peace with on slates like this. But that doesn't mean you can't, you know, make intelligent priorities of the guys you like a little bit better than some of the others.
Absolutely. Totally agree. All right, well, we're going to get this loaded up for you guys, and we're going to get over to our FanDuel show. Now that we've gone through the long one, the FanDuel one obviously will be a little bit quicker, but still, there's a lot of good plays in this slate. It's a tough one. Hit us up on Twitter with any questions, and remember to watch my QLTV show live. Bringing in not a Sheets guest, although Sheets was heavily requested yesterday on the QLTV show, and they want you on next week, so with that, we'll work that out. But because people want to ask you questions, they want us live together. Today I have my buddy Matt Bellman, who's a big sports bettor. He's going to be joining me on the QLTV show, so make sure you tune in at that at 4 Eastern on QLTV. You can search RotoQL on YouTube. Anyway, for Sheets, I'm BobbyFi saying we'll see you at the top of the leaderboards.